we're good. Usually I delay quite a while, but on that subject, right after this stream, I will be contacting, or I think putting out on. I'm not sure what the best way to inform people is. Guessing through Facebook, or I'm not sure what people use nowadays. TikTok. I just tell people through TikTok, like, but yeah, I'll post on Facebook. I'll post on the BVMP Facebook about a new stream schedule, and also on the I think YouTube has a way of notifying people, but it's kind of tough to see that. You could like post little text chats, and then pull up a YouTube home screen. You can see from your subscribers, you see messages, but you might not see BVMP Live's schedule change. So, or Bahama Village music program. If you subscribe to that, I could post a little update there, but I would prefer to post it where the kids can easily see it, or the parents can share it with the kids. So on Facebook, I'll post about new stream schedule, and I'll also. I'm not going to say exactly what the time is yet, because I need to see what the response is, or I want to see what the response is in terms of, kids being busy with virtual school and all that. We'll see when they're available, when the parent, if they're willing. But I know for the ones that are interested, because I know there were a few at least, but if there are any more that are interested in kind of just like computer music, then I mean, direct them. I'll post on Facebook that you can direct them to this ongoing stream and ongoing video series which I'm creating here, just sort of documenting, or just sort of taking you along on the process of, the producer, or at least my workflow and my production techniques, and what I use and how I use them, and I try to explain concepts along the way. Direct anyone to this whole BVMP Live. I'll share this video. This is a little introductory thing, yeah, but we tried to explain all the concepts. But I'll of course go over this if someone shows up. And by the way, if I'm looking to the side, it's because my stream chat is over there. I probably could improve that a little bit by moving this over here. Still gonna be kind of iffy though, and not have to look over here. But at least you can still see my face. Okay, that's that's better. Okay. So what's today's goal? Well, we're going to try to continue the work on our house project. We're not going to try. We are going to continue to make the second drop a reality, but we're going to do so in a way that is more experimental. And in the process of doing that, we're going to sort of just take a step back first of all, see what we have, and see how we can clean up or flatten some of what's going on effects-wise. And also, I can take a lot of these tracks that are MIDI. Here, you guys are hearing me clearly? Great. Sure that Elgato is going to. Okay, great. All right, we are good to go. Good. So I just want to go through, and for the tracks that are MIDI instruments, they have a lot of automation on them, but I could go through and I could freeze the tracks, or I could do a resample to an audio track, and then apply the same effects. That's also a possibility. But in an effort to reduce the CPU usage, I can also turn it off there. But in an effort to reduce that, we want to flatten things out, and we or we're not quite there yet, so I don't need to do too much of this, because I do want to preserve a lot of the automations that are there. But when we get to particularly busy sections, like maybe here or here, um, it starts to ramp up a lot, especially when we have like a lot of bass sounds going. And this is not even close to what you would see in some really talented producer, like EDM producer sessions will have up to like 50 or 60 just bass tracks alone with instances. But that does come at a cost, though, because every single one of those instances is running a version of the plugin, is running an instance of that whole plugin. So every part of it, like this is a serum instance here. It's got several macros, automations, saturator, EQ, and each of them have their own version of serum. They're just loaded, and they're just taking up CPU by just the fact that they're loaded and processing sound and waiting for input and all that. This is a massive instance. Massive doesn't take up too much CPU, and unless you're using a lot of reverb. Serum, same thing. I mean, well, Serum does kind of hog your CPU if you let it. So that's really the main cause of all this, right? I would assume. We have these effects here, but they're only kind of playing out in the beginning, and a lot of them are samplers, like it's Contact. But the thing about Contact is it's not just like a sampler instrument. It's also just like a library, a file browser. It's a whole bunch of things. But fortunately, this is also pretty well designed. It doesn't take up too much CPU, so I don't really need to worry about the Contact tracks too much, because Native Instruments is good about that. But let's quit rambling and let's start producing. Let's do that. This is about, learning by doing here. I'm more so just trying to bring a process of creating a full track here, and if I get to an interesting concept, I'll kind of stop and go over it. But we're rambling. We are wasting time here, so let's get started. This spot to start, I'd say the intro. Okay, so something going on here that I noticed right away is that these atmospheric sounds, they're cool, but they kind of clash with the harmonies of the main track. So what I want to do is, there's a low pass filter. I also want to apply a high pass filter, so that, okay, what I could do though, okay, here's an idea. Where was that even on? Okay, so maybe there isn't a high pass on it. Yeah, this is just the side chaining. Okay, so let me put a filter on it, and then we can use a high pass filter to filter out all of those harmonics, those low harmonics here, as we get closer to the brighter intro, right? Like this. Let's hear that in action. I'm gonna make it actually high pass up and then grow in intensity here towards the end. I kind of want that to be the general vibe of this part. Maybe it'll come so that it's kind of a coherent. Maybe not. I don't know. Try this. We'll try this with everything. See how the background fits in now. So it's fine there. Perhaps this track is a little loud. This needs a boost. So one thing I'm noticing here is there's a lot of room for some stuff going on in the background, right? It's just static, just repeating over and over. I mean, it's cool and all, but what I generally want to do here is make this less busy, less delayed. So let's just visit this bass line, and let's kind of just make it kind of more consolidated and less sustained. So here it's fine. So here, I want to kind of tune out this comb filter. I'm not sure which one it is because they're all just 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe the 4 is the LFO speed on this one. Let's just listen to this here. We can always just mess with the parameters on our push here and kind of return them back so we can figure out what is what. Okay, what if I turn macro 1 up there? Maybe I'll apply some like sort of processing to kind of kill it up, right? Yeah, macro 3 there should not be up in that silence. Okay, so that was one of our mistakes. Let's only have that really come out when, yeah, so macro 3 is coming up here. This is causing a lot of delay. Let's pull that up only towards the end here. So let's try that. Yeah, that comes out right away. And I believe there's like a dimension effect on it that I'm going to kind of remove. I'm just going to get rid of it. There's like a dimension expander. Yep, there it is. No, it's off. Just out of curiosity. Nah, it doesn't do anything. What is on though? Laser. There's not even a way of mixing this out. Interesting. Okay, so maybe I should automate that in. Configure. Yeah, let's have it so we can mix out the phaser. That might help a lot with cleaning this up. Or it might just change the whole mood of the thing. Let's see. Yeah, it did. Okay, so the distortion is always up here as well, so maybe we can tweak that a bit. Comes out there. But let's turn it down. Yeah. Okay, now that's interesting, right? Let's turn it out right away. And then maybe we'll automate the phaser up. So we want these like quick transitions, right? And we'll have a slow evolution of this, and then maybe we'll bring up the delay. But just for a second. Oops. Okay, yeah, I wanted to leave it up there. And it's going to cut right out and switch to this driller variation here. We should probably bring in the other bass clips as well because they're layered on top. Also, they're panned. Why is this? Okay, this left and right. We could be more dramatic with that, but the thing is it's all being compressed, so I'm not doing it too much. Okay, yeah, so this one's got a serious resonance issue. What? I'm not even sure. Is it to do with this? It is. It's the filter. Okay, so maybe if I wait to bring that out. Turn this on as well. This is so drastically different. Like, I also want to make this. I want to make this like more drawn out. Ooh, okay. Just spilled it in my lap. That would have been bad. Let's start it out really low. Also, I just got an idea. I want to put it through a vocoder. This is a really cool effect that you can maybe apply some sort of formant to your sound. Not in this mode, but let's mess with it a little bit here. I'll also pick some presets because I'm not really sure where to start. Let's try this. There's a formant knob here on the left, or on the right. What left? Why did I say left? on the right here, there's this formant knob, and this is all the patch changed here, really. So on the modulator, let's put the formant all the way down. Let's mix this in, actually. That might be cool. Let's put that all before the saturator, and then maybe we'll put a compressor after all that. Actually, then I'll let's automate the formant. Not that much. Oh, that's kind of cool. interesting. Let's pull that up. The thing is, the vocoder uses a lot of CPU, so this is kind of the case where we'd want to now flatten this track, but I still want to tweak it a bit, so I'm not quite ready yet. It's pretty good where it is. So I kind of like the delay there. Like maybe we'll leave it there, but we don't want it to be up all the time. So it's coming a lot from this macro 3, and then in the drill variation we have comb filter up somewhere. Just not sure which one changes it. Is it macro 3? It is. Okay, maybe we want to leave macro 3 down all the time. Also, do this. And bring it up at the end there, and then just leave it. Same for this. Maybe have it go all the way up and then ramp back down here. Okay, return back. So, kind of a central or a little concept that Ableton's automation that I never really kind of talked about, but I've just kind of done, is the fact that you can tweak parameters with controllers, like the push, for example. And if you do, on an automated parameter, it will show, or the automation will show up as gray, but it will still allow you to change that parameters. But you can click this button up here to return back to the automation, and it will return to where back to the points that you drew in. So you can kind of experiment around and be like, oh yeah, what does this one do? Turn it a bit, and then return back to automation. And nothing's really changed, and you don't have to bother messing around too much to get things into place. You know, it's quite nice. Other DAWs have similar features that allow you to do it, and Logic does with its automation mode on the track, so that you can change to read or touch or latch or whatnot. And it's just kind of a different thought process, but in the sense the similar effect is achieved, where you can tweak parameters without consequence to what you've already drawn into your track. Handy. So back here. We're experimenting with this space here and figuring out it's pretty good. Let's change a couple things about the sound, this initial section. Filters down here, so distortion. We don't actually mess with the distortion on this track at all. Whoops, forgot I did that. So I should solo the sub at the same time. Well, not necessarily. Just the uppers. I want to automate the format dry wet back out there. Start at 0. Up to 100, then back down to 0. Like that. Yeah. So it's kind of achieves the same effect as a high pass, really, or like a filter out. A lot of delay on that one, maybe not necessarily the best idea. Also, this filter wet. What in the world is it doing? I'm gonna try a different pattern on this. Let's see. What is FX filter wet doing? Ah, the reverb filter, of course. Another thing I could do to clean this up is I could go to the whole group. I can see that there's 2 EQs on it. I don't want the low end from these patches because there's lots of comb filtering going on. So I'm just going to pull that out quite a bit. And the reduction of 1K is also good. So I'm going to pull back the EQ on this quite a bit after the reverb as well. And I'm going to pull back on the reverb itself too. Yeah, we really only want a little bit. Thinking about what needs to be changed here. I know what's missing. Just a little bit. Saturation, perhaps? Maybe some compression. Well, I got OTT on it. But that actually ruins some of the stereo image. There's also this. Cool. the sidechain here because it's quite busy, but I still want it to fit in with the rest of the project. But I don't want the rest of the project to obscure the bass. It's a balancing act. But I'm liking how it's going so far. So now let's make the background more interesting, because right now it's just a like that's all it is. So let's add something to that then. Let's focus just on that for a while. We'll take a break from the busyness of all that. Okay. Yeah, that's right. I only soloed the OP1 drive pad, which I'm not even using. Great. So we have this build. Let's play the build up for comparison. First thing we should do is, well, change some parameters around here. We have an Serum instance. Let's mess with some of the sounds that I must have programmed in ways to change it around, right? Or at least this patch does. And also, I've got a constant downsampling effect on it, which I'm not sure if I really want. Yeah. Maybe I don't want to keep that everywhere. But let's bring it in from nothing, actually. Let's bring it in from being downsampled to being not downsampled. Let's try that. Okay. Also, the filter doesn't need to stay down either. There we go. Oh, okay. Well, that's much better. Let's have the downsample perhaps come in at the endings here, just a little bit, and then it'll snap back to 0 or 1, like that, just to build a little bit of tension, right? Let's also look at the EQ of the whole thing and make sure that we're not getting too many low frequencies here. Let's pull this back a bit. Okay, let's try that EQ. Let's make this a shelf. Let's make a much more dramatic cut here. Cool. It's also made me make the whole track could pan, perhaps. So maybe if we had it go like to the left, and then to the right, and then back to center, in our build up, and then maybe we could mess with that during the drop as well. Let's snap this to 0. Can we perhaps do that, please? It's hard to do this with a trackpad. There we go. Yeah, that might be cool. Maybe if we do it much more dramatically, like this. Like that, right? And I want to do the same thing here with, okay, yeah, we've got some pan automation, but I want to do the same thing with our patch here, and then just do from right to left. And then maybe we could with this, incorporate this drive pad into the drop as well. We had the clips there. We were gonna do it, but it was too busy, so we took it out. But this might be a way, if we mess with the pan, we could do it. It's always a little bit to the right because was this always to the left a bit? Maybe it should be. Okay, let's bring this down to 10 left so it doesn't slowly ramp up. Well, okay, I need to be careful. So let's try to hear this. Listen to these two specifically. Really hear a difference. Is this one? Good pan from like this maybe? Oh yeah, that's fine. So let's look at the panning here. Let's do right to left. And then bring in our drive pad. Effect more dramatic here. Get faster than that. This goes from right to left, so I'll make this one go left to right. Insert track panning. Snap back to center, or roughly around where it should be. There we go. Okay, let's hear it in context. The problem is it takes over the mix. So maybe I'll turn it down quite... I don't know if I want to turn it down so much. Maybe I'll pull up a high pass on it. Or I'll pull up the EQ on it. Maybe just in this section. Yeah, I tell you what. I'll automate this first parameter. One frequency A. I'll bring it up to like 5K here. 500. Yeah, so now it's more of just background, and then I'll pull it back down. Whatever it was, 190, 169, yeah. Okay, that's fine. Where it is. Deactivate, or activate these as well, and I'll just copy the same automation over. Oh, I could barely hear this one. Is it to do with EQ? Where is it? Gosh, so much automation. Gonna do the pan automation everywhere too. So here, we'll just copy it like, oh, I never reset it back to center. Oops. I'll copy this whole lane then. Where's the track padding here? I should make this always center. Let's try to get it to center. It's tough sometimes. Oh, okay, I can do it fine like this. Cool. Bring this down the center. There we go. Copy this lane of automation. There we go. Nice. Yeah, cool. It's gonna need to be done twice over. Do it. You do it like that. Clips again. Let's not copy that ending one. Cool. Still getting the feeling it's way too busy, especially here. Let's mess with the filter some more. Filter out some stuff somewhere that maybe each can get their own spotlight instead of it's just all being in a giant mess. We could do the same with all of these. We have a auto filter on all of them. We're using them a little bit, but we should employ them more so. Kind of shift the motion to be somewhat more like this for every single one. Well, I mean, it's obviously not playing, but like that. That's kind of a lot more subtle. For these, for the harmony tracks, yeah, definitely some room for filtering here. Let's filter this one down, actually. That one out quick. And I could just copy this whole thing, right? Right, now let's try playing this. We'll use it here too. Why haven't we used it here? A little bit, but not as much as we should have. Need to adapt the EQ to this. Why is there a constant filter at 5.8? Right, it comes down there, but I left it at 5.8 everywhere else. Let's maybe lessen this a bit. I still want to hear the chords, right? Okay, and then maybe bring some of these pink tracks in after that. So we've got white noise. We've got a white noise sweep, which I'm not sure why we haven't used. Okay, for here, actually, I kind of have an idea. So what are we employing here? We're just playing random notes. And this is auto filter, which goes up way too far, I think. Leave it all the way up. And then you can actually just start to bring in some of the same notes from beforehand. Why not? Just make sure they're sufficiently sidechained. Maybe if it was just like on one note. It's like a drone, right? Yeah, it's way too quiet for that right now. So maybe I should bring up the filter. Okay, let's use the... So I gotta have this note continue. And then maybe it could build, or it could be like a chord maybe. Oh, it's also really low. Or low velocity, I mean. What does this even do? Sure. I think it's release or attack. I don't know. Start it all the way at up here. What makes it like, I think it's blend AB, right? Yeah. Second. The heck? Some kind of filter somewhere doing something. Something funky. Is it this? No, that's the high pass. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Alright, we'll just leave that there. And it'll come in with more notes here, right? Let's change that note there. Also, let's add a transition out from the drop to this section. We haven't yet added a locator. This is going to be like our, I guess we could call it our break. Goes right back in. And we'll have to develop this some more. So how exactly do we want to do it? I want it to be more quick this time. I want it to be like mostly calm for 3 measures, or for 7 measures actually, then just, or 6 or so. It'll start building here, but then the last like 7th and 8th measure here, we're going to do most of the building up. It's already happening for the most part, but let's kind of refine it some more. So I'll bring our loop region forward and see what we can do with this part. First thing I want to do is tune out this bass. So let's perhaps, we could tune out the parameters of the bass itself. Maybe I can just filter out the. Oh, okay. Filter. I should probably add one, right? auto filter after everything. Cool. I could just pull down the frequency. Sub involved too. So automation's coming from, okay. Let's do this. In fact, let's keep it all the way down. Still, with last measures. And we'll do some sort of build here. I knew something was still changing. Also, we can probably use this out for that and that. Yeah, it's kind of appropriate. Cool, and then I'll move, or maybe this can interplay with the uppers. Let's play them and see if they sound good. They're different rhythms. Nah, not gonna work. Okay, we'll just move these in then. Ooh. Yeah, we can turn off automation mode. Clutter it, declutter it a little bit. But I like to keep it on. Yeah, that's cool. Drums are missing. Replica can maybe there. And then build up the same way. We can't forget the transition effects here. We'll make them shorter. What's happened here? This happened here, but also shorter. So the overall length of this patch is controlled by one LFO, right? Chord 4. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so the 4-bar one is the one we want to change here. So LFO 4. That is not controlled by anything yet. Let's make them controllable for 1 and 2. And then the rate of LFO 4. That way we can change the speed of this build up if we want. I'm going to change it particularly to a faster rate here. Not that fast. Yeah, that's right. That's right on the money. Okay. That's how long I want it. So let's bring that forward, and there we have it. Our tiny, our half size build up for this one patch, and that easy. Well, okay, that's fine where it is. Also, what I did is I took this submarine white noise, and I filtered it out faster. So it goes away quicker, and then we can just cut that off. So let's hear everything now with all the transition effects, right? Let's go ahead and switch just the backgrounds. And this is what we added here. This is into the drop. Okay, we need to also solo this. This is kind of part of it. Let's lessen the effects of the sidechain compressor here, like we did with this build-up. There we go. Let's do it even more so. Let's filter the drums out here. Or at least delay them out. We'll use a filter as well. Do I have a filter on this? I don't, but I have a filter on this one. Really ought to move this auto filter to the rest of the kit, but meh. Nah. Let's filter it out slower. I have one for aux drums, right? No, I don't. Need one. Can I also filter it in here? Like filter the drums in for the drop? That might be kind of cool. Curved. It could just be sort of static like that. Yeah. Bring it back in, right? Getting closer. So then here would come the next variations of the patch, right? So perhaps we could do an extended clip this on this patch here. So insert clip, and we are using this note. So let's copy that over. And mess with this to get an ideal sound here. So right now, I think we're being filtered. Yep. Bring that out. Mess with the parameters some so that we can get an ideal sound. Let's go to the patch itself. Excuse me a second. Yeah. Alright guys, I should probably say that I'll be right back. I just heard of news of a storm, so I want to learn of that. Be right back, guys. Not a restroom. I should probably just get rid of this, eh? Yeah. Delete. Done. Alright. Be right back. I could probably do it now. They're showing up at 3. Unless it's stormy, then we'll talk to them about it and see if they're still on for it. Okay. We shall wait and see for any updates. We could always just like form a mystical barrier around it, with our minds. back to straight, like I said. Alright. We return. Let's see. Just getting an update on Storm Laura. Looks like it's heading straight for the keys and everything's doomed. No, it's fine. It's gonna be like a category 1, so there's gonna be nothing. But yeah, let's continue music, shall we? What I was doing now was getting it to be a nice beaded patch here. At least for a measure. We can cut it off here. Maybe I could play with the LFO speed a little bit. So I want something like boom, 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 boom. Let's move that one up. Kind of interesting, right? Maybe if I brought the filter cutoff up in these sections. Macro 1, bring down. Something like this. Now, what if I brought the formant up at the same time? And then blended it with another bass, because this on its own is sort of cool, but it's not exactly... Well, we need to blend it with the... I know, we need to blend it with the sub, of course. So, what should I use? Probably the same line that I used for the first drop, right? Well, that's kind of cool, but... Let's try to mix, let's try to match it up. Boom, 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 boom. Right? We'll have it in off beats. Yeah, so I'll just repeat this. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, come on. Option drag. Sometimes it doesn't work. Oh, that's why. Okay, now let's quantize all. Okay, they don't need to be quantized. They just need to be committed to a groove. Cool. Yeah, that makes a really nice, like, offbeat sort of feel there. Let's go back into a straight groove for the second half. Take something similar to this. Oh, no. Let's move it here. So now we can move in something similar to what we had in our first drop, but maybe not. Not that, of course. I want to take this clip. What else can we do with this patch? Oh, the FM. We haven't messed with that at all. I got an idea. What if I bring the FM pitch down like an octave? Not good. Bring it up an octave though, now that's... Let's have it step through these. Trigger. Like, go through two there. Parameters, this one too. Okay, so I got an idea. We'll turn up the FM. And then we'll turn down the... We'll turn up the LFO rate as well. Oops. What is LFO 3 doing anyway? I have it automated. LFO 3. Maybe I don't want to automate that up. It's down, however. Aha. So the theme here, okay, I've got an idea now for the sort of general theme of the second drop. It's going to be more stepped automation rather than gradual automation. Second. Probably because it was focusing on this bright, reflective surface. Yeah, let's mess with a couple more parameters. We have macro 4 as well that we haven't messed with. Now we're definitely going to turn that one up. And then let's mess with the LFO1 rate. That's what we want to mess with. Because we haven't actually changed this at all. Why? And then this makes a drastic difference. That fast. Okay, let's go this time. This 16th, yeah, that's good. That sounds pretty crazy, doesn't it? Cool. It's like no way that someone would just like come up with that out of the blue. Like that's totally just me moving parameters around and seeing what happens, and that happened, and it's great. I like it. Let's see how the two sound next to each other. The only way it's gonna have to be just to bring this in as well. Let's bring it in with one of those swung rhythms from before, like this. That's quarters. I want a swung rhythm. This one. I want that. We are here. Let's extend all these notes out to their max length. Actually, let's make these ones short. And then these second ones longer, because they're a little bit offbeat, right? I'm not going to want to emphasize the fact that they are offbeat. Have a little pause in there too. Let's keep that up. Each one of these different somehow by changing the filter wet. one not... Oh, I know why. Because there's this little tiny clip right there. This one panned way left. Snap back to center here. Just to be okay. If you hold shift, you can get a more precise adjustment. Ow! Darn it! Come on. It's like stuck on one left. I don't know why. I just want to get to center. It's fine. It's fine. Tolerable. This one, of course, needs to pan back to the center here. So let's have it pan the center like this, and then this could pan. This could pan to the right like this. This could pan to the left, and then it could pan back to the center. Might be cool or it might be terrible. Only two options. Cool. Cool. That's all I could say, man. I just like you don't just think of these things. You just move parameters around. You set it up so that you have serum patches or massive patches or what insert your own synthesizer here patches, and you have macros or automated parameters that change a lot of characteristics about the sound, and then you just experiment with automating them in creative ways, in different ways, so that you get just these crazy sounding basses like this. I figured there is a way with draw mode to like select an area and pan quickly or make like slices that are of certain values, right? And I'm using this to my advantage here to really create some cool like stepped motions here where you just get like this sound, then this sound, then this sound, then this sound, all using the same patch. It's pretty neat. Set up the, if you set up the patch to work for you, it will work for you. It will set up the patch to be more of a randomized or a randomizable thing, and you set up the patch with intent to change them, then you can get some pretty get some pretty nice results. So like for this example, for this patch, I've got a whole bunch of macros. I got macro 1 through 4 set up. I've also got filter cutoff, filter wet, all of those. So like filters change the sound a lot, right? Especially this reverb filter. The macros, they're all automating one thing. This automates the FM. This automates the... This maybe isn't the best example, but like there's some patches that the macro 2, for example, will automate 10 different things, and then you move it around and it just becomes a completely different sound when you do so. And if you set up 4 of those and you automate them randomly, like imagine the amount of the variety of sound you could get just out of one one preset of this synth, and that's just scratching the surface of what you could do with this. So I'm trying to make it so that I make similar sounding patches by using duplicates of each other and tweaking things ever so slightly or maybe drastically, and then from that point making automation on those tracks, on those like duplicated tracks, to even further add variety to the sound. And you just get this crazy amalgamation of bass, which just well, I find it sounds good. You may defer that. I like the craziness that it produces, the kind of wild, all over the place, but we'll keep it contained though. We don't want to have too much going on, or else you'll just sort of not know what to listen to. So we need to watch out for that as well. Like right now. Like I don't want to add anything else on top of this track right here, because then it'll obscure all the interesting stuff that's happening there. Right? Maybe harmony on top, but very minimal, right? Let's bring these back in and see how they behave with the new or with the loops I've created. I might want to tweak and or change the instrumentation of this, because it is the second drop. You know, we want to add some sort of variation, not just with the bass, but also with the harmony that supports it. So we'll take this for now, but we're of course going to change it up quite a bit. And maybe we'll take it one element at a time. We'll take it. We'll take this element first, the massive patch that we've been using the whole time anyway, so it's fine. What? Okay, I think it's because this is down. Why is this constantly down? I had it here and it wasn't playing because okay. Okay, dude. Also, it's all the way on the left for some reason, because I forgot to pan it back. I need to set it to center if I can get it there. There we go. Okay, we don't want the delay there. Might be because the patch has a longer release than it needs to. Oh yeah, that's why. Okay, that's different. Yeah, I'll definitely be using this one. Let's maybe turn up the intensity here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah! What? I don't even know. Don't ask. Maybe we can turn up the filter here as well. We can ramp it up. Yeah, have it build in intensity here. I'll maybe bring it down a bit. Yeah, so it progresses more exponentially rather than linear. So it takes more time to get there, but when it gets there, it accelerates. Usually better to do most automation that way, to add curves, like here, for example. I could add a curve here. Right, that'll just enhance it, I know. Because, and I'll tell you why, because in EDM tracks you want faster transitions, because that builds more energy and it excites. It causes more excitement if you just all of a sudden, or if you build energy and condense it more towards the end. If you accelerate towards the next part in terms of your automation, not the actual tempo, but like if you're accelerating the automation, it's not sort of like a staircase up, like in the case of linear. Like, all right, you know where it's going. It's you can obviously tell. All right, the filter's going up, but if you accelerate it there, if you keep it low for a while, then especially with like this, horn players might know this with like swells, for example. You don't want to play a swell just like bum, bum, right. you don't want it to go just like a linear increase in volume afterwards, like a crescendo would be written on a page. And this is also known. This is also a concept for that applies to like dynamic changes as well in band. When you have a crescendo written on the page, it's written like a big less than or a big greater than sign, a long linear shaped less than or greater than sign. But in fact, it doesn't. It's not linear at all. And the way you would interpret it is more of a exponential curve like this. So you go. It would be more of like the opening of like plant leaves rather. It would be accelerating outwards, and you would wait a while to just come out, and like so horn swells would sound better if it was reserved for a while and then accelerated out. Bum, right? Just all of a sudden comes out at the end. That's to me that sounds more interesting. That sounds better and builds more energy if we accelerate more than if we didn't. Unfortunately, because I'm using Ableton a lot, or mostly for this purpose, because Soundtrap unfortunately doesn't have a way of making it an exponential curve in your automation. I find that very essential. It only allows you to just draw points and then have linear transitions between those points, and I find that a very big design flaw, because naturally we prefer to have things transition, to have sounds or objects or nature, etc., change in an exponential or logarithmic fashion rather than except if you're doing it, you know, if you want to go for like a more machine-like vibe, and for example, what I'm doing in the here, what I'm doing in this second drop, I'm doing stepwise motion. That's cool too, but if you're doing transitions, exponential motion, think accelerating curves. Here I'm going to try to do some stepwise motion. Make each one of these chord sounds have its own unique character to it. So I could do like different filter cutoffs for each, like this. And then I could turn down the intensity for some. What is another parameter? I think I might have a parameter in here that changes particularly the timbre of the sound. If not, I'll make one. Oh, wait, I'm really low octave. Oh yeah, well there you go. Surprised I haven't automated that one. Yeah, let's pull up macro 4 here, but in stepwise motion. Yeah, that's cool. Although all it really does is obscure. Maybe I can insert an effect here. Let's see. How about the speed of the LFO? Yeah, how about this? I'm not modulating this, am I? Because it's not a... What if I extended this note? I want to figure out a way to transform this from 1/8 to 1/16. Yeah, that's the issue there. Well, let's make it 1/16 throughout. Let's also extend this MIDI note like I said I would do just a minute ago. Let's maybe have a slow transition here. Actually, no, stepwise. Stepwise. Intensity's not doing much. Let's leave that up. And let's mess with, instead, that. I don't know. Is the auto filter using some sort of LFO? Yes, it is. Okay, so let's bring down the LFO amount here. This part. And then let's bring in LFO amount and then bring auto filter frequency down. Like this. Let's make a curve up like that. Not much LFO going on because it's... Yeah, that's better. The LFO amount go up more. All the way up to 30. Let's make it go up all the way up to 30 and we'll change this part. Nice. Yeah, I'd say that fits pretty well. And then maybe for a change we'll introduce the piano back in. That'd be cool. There's all been synth here. Maybe if we introduce this piano. Of course, we gotta limit this to only be playing the notes where I want it to. Maybe if I could, maybe I'd keep that on the offbeat actually. Then we have the problem of that obscuring the bass again, so perhaps I can filter it in. There is a way to do it with, I think, with the, let's use less space here. Exponential. Okay. No space at all, actually. Dynamic range. What else could we use? Auto filter, of course. Well, that might do it. That might do it. Let's use an exponential curve to lead us to the end here. We'll start it there. Make sure that it's not filtered out beforehand. Push it down like that. Maybe we actually keep the space out here. Yeah, so it like decays in the spaces there. What else can we use? Also, we never bother to. I'm gonna add a submarine sweep here. By that I mean like a white noise sweep. This patch is called Submarine, so it's kind has a catchy name and kind of catches on a little bit. Add these atmospheres back in to the other section here. This over, copy this over. Yeah. Oh, okay, we got it. One thing I never did for this portion is I never got the sub going. I got the sub going here, but I didn't get it going for the second section yet. There. Let's have it follow a different pattern, actually. Let's maybe make it mimic the that section with the repeated snare. Yeah. What's that doing here? This was faster before. Where is the LFO speed? I think it's macro 4, right? Alright, so let's figure out how we can change this. Okay, with stepwise motion, of course. Problem is, it's swung, so I need to make sure that I only automate where it's swung, or where the notes are. Maybe towards the something in the middle, I'm not sure. I'll have to move the dots around. Or I could just do it in the latter half of these swung notes. And what about micro 3? As the delay. Okay, so let's loop this particular section. Maybe not so much of that. More of macro 4. It's the LFO speed. Let's leave that alone. That alone. If I can manage to get it back to where it was. Okay, there we go. This ramp we can get rid of. All these other ramps, let's just zero them out. Filter cut off, perhaps we can... Oh, what? Okay, interesting. Okay, we can get some interesting results with this. Zoom in some. Oh well, oh well. Told you. I could get some interesting results with that. Macro 1. Exactly is that doing? Not sure. Change it around a bit then. Let's just change the amount of LFO, I think. No. Once again, didn't plan this. Let's be less aggressive with that delay, though. Let's maybe ramp it in some. Still want there to be some semblance of rhythm here. So yeah, especially with this macro. Oh, whoops. This macro 3 at the end, we can probably just mix that in with stepwise motion. But not so much. So with the LFO speed. I can slow it down in the middle of these and speed up at the end. How about everything in conjunction now? It's a lot. There's a lot going on. Maybe I pick and choose between a couple of these. Just like okay, say we've got our 3 ideas, and then maybe we'll just do transitions between them, because already it's just like whoa, overload of crazy weird sounds. So we need to kind of step back a little bit and notice that it is 1:36, and we've done a lot with some sound design today, and we've started work on the second job, but still we're having the problem of things being a little too busy. So next time what we're going to do is just sort of take bits and pieces of this and then just tastefully place them such that they're spaced apart and they're each their own little thing. And that will come more so when we flatten the tracks. I said I would flatten them today, but didn't get to it. When we flatten them, when we turn them from MIDI to audio, and we can represent them as more of an audio clip, then we'll have the chance to say, okay, we don't want this to resonate here, where there's a lot of audio in this spot. We can just remove that portion of audio, right? We can just clip that out without having to change too much, right? And we can just take pieces and bits of what we have here and rearrange them, and also we can quantize all of the all of the transients in there. It'll become much more flexible to mix this stuff once we export to audio. But for right now, what I'm trying to do is just come up with as much as possible to export, so that when we export, because we can't, there's not like a, I mean, we could always save this part, we could save this track, keep this, it's no problem. But the idea is to get rid of the MIDI tracks entirely. You save the patches, of course, you know, in your external plugins, your external DAW, and then even inside this DAW, if you have patches made with like analog or resonators, or no, collision analog, any of the Ableton stock plugins, which are behind my camera, you can save presets of them, because people have already, you've got categories of presets already. You can make your own. So you want to make sure to, of course, that if you've designed a nice sound, that you save it so that you could come back and use it again in the future for your other tracks. And I do quite a bit of that, you know, calling, and I have a lot of material that I've made over the years, and I'd like to utilize it. But I also like to design new sounds, which is why I'm constantly using Serum and using MIDI for everything, because I just like to make new interesting sounds. That's how I like to distinguish my music as the original, is just to make just as much craziness as possible. Not for every track though. I mean, some tracks I've made are lo-fi-esque, and I think I might, for my next project, for my next Ableton project SAS, I think I'll start it out in Soundtrap, and it's going to be a lot more chill. It's going to be something more along the lines of what you would call lo-fi or hip-hop. And I don't want it to be so crazy. I want it to be simple. That might be a little bit more educationally beneficial. Oh, big words there. To the younger audience that perhaps is just starting with making music online, that they might be just kind of appalled and surprised by what's going on. But, you know, I'm here. I'm waiting for questions. If you're interested, stop by. But once again, as I'd said at the beginning of the stream, we're going to transition to a later time next week. So hopefully we become more available for students to check in. I'll let everyone know. I'll see you all back. Hopefully we'll see some more of you. That's wrong, but we're gonna set this right now. So I'm going to shoot for 9:30 tomorrow. Why did I say tomorrow? I'm gonna shoot for this PM. So note the PM. We're gonna do later streams, and I'm hoping that's going to make it more available for those who wish to learn about computer music making. And this is, you know, hopefully after everyone's wrapped up their virtual classes and virtual schooling, reality, and they want to check in. And I hope this is. I'll still have a poll of some sort, and this is subject to change, definitely subject to change. But I do want to do later streams, evening streams, because I am pretty certain that that'll make it more. Because, you know, kids are busy during the day. Adults are busy during the day. I am fortunate enough to be able to, but I would also like to free up my day for other things, personally. So, like, you know, my morning and all that. Not to be selfish and all, but, you know, there's responsibilities that, especially today. So I'm gonna be signing off now. See you all then, and at 9:30 p.m.